Hey, what's up you guys, it's Austin of The Lone Few. Today I want to talk about Call of Duty World War II. So it had a little bit of a rough launch, to put it lightly. The servers didn't quite work, there are countless bugs and glitches. Double XP not quite working, but then we had triple XP on the double XP weekend, and it was a whole big mess. But at its core, I at least am really enjoying this game. The gameplay of it, the going back to boots on the ground, is so refreshing to me, I can't even put it into words. But there are certain things in World War II that should be fixed. Poor decisions that they made that I think just, you took one step forward and two steps back in some of these departments. And that could have been a conscious directive decision, or it could have been due to time constraints. There have been reports out recently that Sledgehammer actually wanted to produce Advanced Warfare 2 and that Activision kind of made them go back to a World War II game. While we don't really have the timeline yet, a lot of people are speculating that they began Advanced Warfare and then after getting a couple months, maybe even a year into it, they were suddenly, thrust into this, you need to make a World War II game, and they kind of scrambled. And that theory does kind of have some credibility to it, when you look at the massive server issues and the massive bugs, and when it looks like they just didn't test certain aspects of this game. But I'm not talking about those things. Again, I'm not talking about glitches, I'm not talking about connection, servers, none of that, because those are all accidental things. I don't think for a second that Sledgehammer set out to make a game that just didn't work on day one, right? The things that I'm going to outline on this list are very purposeful decisions that they made in this game that I think hurts the Call of Duty brand. And a lot of them are things that we've already had in past Call of Duties. In fact, in the past almost decade of Call of Duty that they just for some reason got rid of. So anyway, I've been rambling way too much on this intro. Let's get into the first one, and that's game modes. A lot of people have complained about the maps, about there's only 9 of them, 10 if you include the pre-order bonus, which doesn't seem to actually be in rotation for anybody, and that low of quantity of maps will make the game stale quicker. I tend to agree and disagree with that. I agree that it will make the game more stale faster, but I think a large component to that equation is also the game modes. There's Team Deathmatch, Domination, Search and Destroy, Kill Confirmed, Gridiron, Free-for-all, Hardpoint, and Capture the Flag, along with hardcore variants of the 4 most popular game modes. I don't fully know how to say it. There's just not enough. There's something about this game that it feels like in every menu you go into, maybe it's the spacing on, each of them. You go into challenges, and it's like there's not a scroll bar. It seems like there's a very finite amount of challenges even, of game modes. When in most other Call of Duty games, it felt like an endless just scroll through different challenges that you can do, and bonuses to unlock, and calling cards to unlock, that it was almost overwhelming at times. Now, when you scroll through challenges, I feel like I could do all of them easily in like 2 months, And the same I feel can be applied to game modes. Because when you break it down, those 9 game modes, you have 3 that are kill-based, 2 that are get X from point A to point B, that being Gridiron and Capture the Flag, and then Hardpoint, Domination, and Search and Destroy. Meaning that really there's only 5 kind of things to do, if that makes any sense. On top of that, there are no playlists, it seems. Each of these playlists only feature one game mode, the game mode that it's named after, with the exception of the Karantan 24/7 playlist, which, again, I don't think anyone actually plays. Meaning that there's no ground war, there's no mercenary mosh pit, there's no team tactical, there's nothing where you just throw yourself in and see where the lobby takes you. And I think that this, combined with the total of 9 maps, makes it very stale. Because what happens is people fall into their routines, right? The game modes that I play on a day-to-day basis, Domination, Kill Confirmed, Hardpoint. Those are my 3. So that's 4 game modes. When I choose a game mode, which I have to choose a game mode, there are only then 9 variations of the game that I can play once I make that decision. Whereas if you have something like Ground War, you select Ground War, and now you have 3 game mode options and 9 map options. You have now 27 possible permutations of things that you can do, right? Of games that you can be thrown into. To which I guess you could say, oh, well, you know, the choices are still there, the options are still there, they're just you choose them instead of being thrown in them randomly. Which does make sense, but again, people fall into their same routines, and while that is on the people, I guess, falling into their routines, it doesn't change that the end game of that is the game getting stale. On top of that, the game modes that we do have already gotten stale, I think, to a lot of the community. And while obviously you can't get rid of Team Deathmatch, Dom, or Search, the only quote-unquote new game mode that they brought in was Gridiron, which is just uplink without boosts, which was already just one flag CTF. And a lot of this game felt like fan service from the beginning, going back to World War II after this long, 3-game cycle of future Call of Duty. And yet they didn't bring in any of these more interesting, fan-favorite game modes. Things like Demolition, or Gun Game, or Safegaurd, Infected. These were games that broke the mold in a way. They were just fun. And now, diluting the player pool is a big issue, and I'm sure that was part of what made their decision to go this route. But that is where actual playlists come in. If you simply take the 8 game modes that we have, add Ground War a free-for-all mosh pit, including the standard free-for-all, Gun Game, Infected, Slasher, and One in the Chamber, then a Momentum playlist featuring Safegaurd, the original War from World at War, Domination, and Hardpoint, and then combine Gridiron and Capture the Flag, which are both very similar and have a decently low player base on their own, we now have 10 playlists, that's 2 more than we originally did, but 14 game modes, which is nearly double of what shipped with the game. Then you can borrow what I think was the best feature of Modern Warfare Remastered, which was Weekend Warfare, and highlight one of these modes per weekend or per week, and give double XP to that playlist, to its own playlist, and use as a place to test out new ones before being thrown in the real rotation. And suddenly you have this reoccurring amount of people coming on and like, oh wait, oh dude, they added Slasher this weekend, let's hop on. There's suddenly a community around these game modes, and because people are earning double XP in these game modes, you're going to have your already established player base who would have already been playing that weekend gravitate towards that game mode. And also, for the love of God, put them in private matches. For all the things that MWR did, I think, very well, not putting things like Prop Hunt or Slasher in private matches, you were so close to the finish line, but you didn't bring it home for me. Because private matches used to be a staple for the series for me, ever since Modern Warfare 2. With Michael Myers and quickscoping lobbies, that was where I spent the majority of my time in MW2, Black Ops, and MW3. And since MW2, there's been a steady incline of different options that you can alter in private matches, with the exception of Black Ops 1, which I'm still blown away with how much control we had over individual perks, kill streaks, guns. Everything in that game was blown out of the water, and since then it has come down, but with a still steady incline from each game to the next one. But with World War II, they set the options and the things that you can control back behind MW2's standards. To start off, you can't create default classes for people, which has been in the game since the original Black Ops. There also isn't a ban option on players' own custom classes, which means that you can just make anything that you want and hop into my quickscoping lobby and just ruin our time. There's no way to disable score streaks either. Everyone has to do that individually and completely remove them. Certain toggle switches block out others. For instance, if I want to play hardcore, I can't also spectate. Fucking why? It's a fucking private match. What does it matter if I spectate? What is the purpose? I legitimately don't understand the reasoning behind it. Lives are only an option under Search and Destroy, but the only options are 1, 2, 3, 5, and 9. Like, was it really that hard to give us 1 through 9? Like, why the fuck can't I have 4 lives? It seems like that's a very, very easy... I'm no coder, but it seems like it's very, very easy to just put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No? Like, why have those breaks? I don't get it. But hey, you know what? Thank God that we can place down up to 5 gridiron balls. Because, dude, Sledgehammer just has such an amazing handle on the community. I can't believe... I wouldn't even be able to buy this game if we weren't able to put down 5 gridiron balls in a fucking private match. Even Infinite Warfare, through all of its flaws, had some really great options. You could put cranked timers on any game mode, so people just explode every 30 seconds if you wanted to. In uplink, you can make the uplink balls turn into black holes when no one was holding them, just sucking everything in. I thought that was fucking amazing. That's nowhere in the actual game, but they just threw it in the options anyway. Even Modern Warfare Remastered, which is this side game developed by Raven, had custom score streaks and you could pre-make your classes. Why is this AAA, main release not have either of these two staple options? That, then coupled with the lack of fun, quote-unquote, game modes, the game just takes itself too seriously, while at the same time not taking it seriously enough with the whole swastika debacle and the historical inaccuracies. It's like they're trying to play both teams, but they are not. They're losing the two-front war, which I thought in a World War II game they should understand. Like, pick a team. That's why you're getting hate from both sides, is because you aren't on a side, and you're half-assing your service to each of them. There's also no Nuketown or Shipment style map where it's just really small. The closest thing we have to that is something like Flak Tower or maybe Point to Hawk. But we were trying to play One in the Chamber the other day on Point to Hawk, and after 5 minutes of running around that map in a 1v1 with 1 life left each, I wanted to turn the gun back on myself. These are all things that other Call of Duties had for so long and made them unique and made them special. But in this game, they decided to just completely cut that corner. Next up, I want to talk about the UI. And I'm not going to spend too much time here because really there's not all that much to say beyond this system sucks. Headquarters is a good idea. I love headquarters when it, is working right. And the UI works for the most part while in that mode. But in-game, why can't we go back to a nice, clean, vertical menu where you click into sections to view them? The tabs at the top just muddy up the water and throw so much stuff at you at once that you can barely make sense out of it. Plus, there's a little bit of a lag on hitting the bumpers, meaning that rage quit is a lot more difficult in this game, which could be by design. In fact, the only part of the menu that I do enjoy is the dossier menu, just because it's a vertical thing where you select, special helmets, and it takes you to that thing. It isn't just one menu at the top and then everything drops down. It's also bizarre that the Find Games tab is for some reason calibrated for mobile viewing, I guess, with the giant tiles. Why do we need a news tab? Just put it over here in this giant blank space. And while we're at it, can we just put all the customization items in one place? Next up, I want to talk about headquarters. I feel like there's a lot more that they can do with headquarters and give us more things to do there. For instance, there's really no actual rewards to prestiging. When I first heard that there was this, exclusive area where you can go for people who are prestige, I thought, okay, yeah, cool. It's gonna be like a lounge or something. Like, I don't know, there's a TV on in the corner, I don't know. But then when I actually went behind the curtain, it's just, a cliff and a guy that you can go to prestige. Maybe adding in another mini game or something up there. Destiny had soccer, and if I'm being honest, the gridiron balls, just tossing that thing back and forth, bouncing it off the wall is really, really fun. Maybe put in some mini games like that as well. I think that a trading system would work very, very well in headquarters. Something where if I get a special variant of the M1 Garand, but I'm not a fan of the M1 Garand, but my friend over here is a huge fan of the M1 Garand, he can buy it off of me for armory credits. It could also be more of a reason to put paint jobs and camos and things on the gun, because in theory you could take a cool variant, slap your paint job on it, and suddenly that now makes it more valuable maybe, because it has this special insignia on it, and you can put it up on the marketplace for, I don't know, 500 armory credits as opposed to 200 because you have this really, really cool, amazing, paint job painted onto it. And now you can sell that to people as if it's, your own creation. I'm a fan of games where you can take the engine and you can take the core game and manipulate it or use it as a tool to create your own things. And that is what the paint job has always been. That's what theater mode has always been. And I think that being able to sell paint jobs, for the most part, on your variants is a really, really cool way of bringing back that community and giving people an incentive to make things and give people an incentive to buy things from other players. You know, I'm thinking about YouTubers that right now make these amazing paint jobs and amazing emblems. What if you could sell them in-game for armory credits? Now there's a different way to grind if you really wanted to, you know? Which then also brings me to wager matches. I think wager matches could fit perfectly into headquarters in the same way that we have the 1v1 pit right now. What if, in addition to the 1v1 pit, you know, right next to it, we have a 6-man free-for-all pit, where you drop in, and, you know, there's 3 levels, like you had in Black Ops. There's anti-up, something in the middle, and high roller, and, you know, you give 10 armory credits, 100, 1,000, whatever it is. You hop down into the pit, and winner takes all, whether that's, you know, one in the chamber, gun game, make their own stuff, what have you. I think it's a very good way of, first off, grinding to get those armory credits, because I feel like right now, really there's not too many ways to get credits besides your orders. And it's also giving the fans something that they've wanted for, you know, 5 years or so, and that's wager matches again. Because they added this extra sense of nervousness. You're literally gambling, you know, with fake currency, of course. But, you know, it's one of my favorite things from Black Ops 1 is playing one in the chamber in, you know, high rollers and, you know, either destroying or getting destroyed. And on one end of the spectrum, it's incredibly gratifying, and on the other end, incredibly aggravating. But a game that you can make you feel both of those things, I think is a good game, you know? Oh, and speaking of things that aggravate me, theater. The fuck, Sledgehammer. You're gonna put something in the game called theater and it's not actually a theater mode? Oh, so you can just come here and watch MLG? Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna be used a lot. God damn, just put a theater mode in, please. I just want a theater mode. And then beyond that, I think maybe like a pit, like a WW2, you know, where you can go through a training exercise. I think something like that would be really cool, because then you could have a leaderboard in game of, you know, the fastest time anyone has ever had here, maybe this session. I think, again, just give us more things to do in headquarters that are actual gameplay oriented, if that makes sense. And speaking of HQ, I couldn't get through this list without talking about supply drops at all. But instead of talking about how, you know, they're evil and they should be removed from the game and this, and that, I'm instead going to talk about what is in the supply drops. Because supply drops aren't going away. You know, I've accepted that fact. I think everyone should accept that fact. That's just what gaming in, you know, this decade looks like. But the items in the supply drops, I think, have a good chance of changing. So, for instance, right now, emotes are in supply drops. I like the idea of emotes being in supply drops, but please, for the love of God, make the emotes different. I'm tired of getting gestures that are exactly the same, but the kill feed says something slightly different. This is the laziest thing I've ever goddamn seen in a fucking Call of Duty game. Even if the headquarters were populated, no one is going to give a shit about what words are written on the bottom. They only give a shit about what the actual gesture is. And this is just another example that breathes life into the theory that they were kind of scrambling for this game, and that they just kind of artificially made more emotes off of the exact same ones. Pistol grips, I think, are a very, very good idea, but I think limiting them to only pistols might be a bad decision. I think that they would be more accepted by people if they were, you know, insignias and things that you could put on grips. If you can put them on any gun, like you would a camo. And now I'm sure that this takes a lot more work on the devs side to, you know, make each of these insignias work on, you know, the various types of grips that we have in the game. But I think even that alone would make getting a pistol grip not as much of a bad thing. And then on top of that, going back to emotes and with these pistol grips, if you just in the actual supply drop give a preview of what the grip looks like or what the emote looks like, I think immediately people are going to be like, oh yes, cool, I got this badass shark grip, as opposed to, oh god damn it, I got another grip, because it just shows a picture of a grip and you have no idea what that looks like until you go searching. So on top of those things that are already in, that I think just simple improvements could be made to make the community, I don't know, more susceptible to them, we need more things that we actually want. Right now, the only thing that people want in supply drops are the variants. Like, can we fix that? For instance, the double XP, make them longer per pull. You know, a full hour of double XP as opposed to 15 minutes or something. And also, don't just make it active the second that you pull it. Instead, let us decide when to turn it on or off so that there's a strategy to it. I think weapon kits from MWR could work, although that mixed with variants could be a little ugly. I think throwing camos as well would be very, very well received with the audience. And then on top of that, please make everything purchasable through collections, or anywhere else for that matter. I straight up can't believe that this is a thing. Loot crate specific items is what ruined Advanced Warfare. I'm going to say that again. Loot crate specific items is what ruined Advanced Warfare. And I thought that Activision learned their lesson going into MWR and Infinite Warfare, in which you could actually purchase the exact weapon that you wanted via grinding and earning armory credits. But yet, for some reason, even in this game where that system exists, there are still variants of the MP40 or the STG or pretty much every goddamn gun that you can only get through supply drops. And I wouldn't be this pissed if that's where it ended, right? But we know that this isn't where it's ending. There will be supply drop weapons. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how will they be implemented. And if they implement them in such a way that you cannot buy them outright with armory credits through the collections, and instead need to pull them randomly through a supply drop, this game will be ruined in the same way that Advanced Warfare was. Especially if they lock it behind rare supply drops, which is also something that Advanced Warfare did. Which, if you remember, in Advanced Warfare, the rare supply drops you had to purchase with real-world money, which meant that literally it was impossible to get, I think the M1911 was a DLC gun. A DLC gun that I never got, but a DLC gun that you had to pay for to get a random chance of getting it. That is beyond fucked up. What the fuck? And by all means, put them in crates, please. But if they are not able to be purchased through grinding, like some of these current weapon variants seem to be, then that's a surefire way to lose parts of the community that right now are sticking up for you. And that's about the end of my list. Now, notice that I didn't talk about actual gameplay at all, and that's because it's actually, say it with me, fun. I genuinely enjoy my time playing this game when it's working properly. Probably more than I have since Black Ops 2 days. Hell, I'm already second Prestige, and the game's only been out for a little over a week at the time of recording this. That literally hasn't happened since WW2. And I want to like this game. Hell, I do like this game. But it's just all the poor decisions around the core game where it seems like the devs are forcing us to play a specific way that they intended. Good games offer freedom and choices. The ability to play the game how you want to, both in the sense of choosing how you want to fight on the battlefield and how you want to spend the time in between. They make the game feel personal, like it's yours, like this character you're building isn't generic soldier number 13, but because it's someone that you handcrafted through your choices and your decisions both on and off of the battlefield. And that is where I'll leave you. I'll get off of my soapbox for a little bit. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. We have a Discord down in the description. Other things are probably popping up right now. Yeah, that's all I have to say for today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. And I will see you guys when I see you guys. So see you guys. Peace.